Today we're going to speak about the fundamental limitations and also how to determine the perfect race line when riding a bike on a racetrack. We start with the basic limitations which can be seen in the figure, and if you see yourself in the middle of the figure, and how hard you can accelerate is given by the distance to the next line. So if you try to accelerate as hard as you cannot go higher than this line, and this is the wheelie limit. If you try to accelerate more, the bike will lift the front wheel. If you try to turn, you will reach the level of grip, and if you try to turn harder than the grip you have, the bike will start sliding. If you try to brake as hard as you come to the stoppie limit and the bike will go on the front wheel. Then of course, if it's very slippery, the circle becomes smaller and you cannot stop or you cannot wheelie. But under normal circumstances, this is how it looks like. So this guy is now on the wheelie limit. You can see the front wheel being a little bit off. This guy is on the level of grip and he's using all the grip to turn. If he would try to accelerate just a little, he would go out here and he would slide. If he would try to brake, he would go out here and he would slide. And this guy is on the stoppie limit. You can see the back wheel is starting to come off and he's actually turning a little bit while doing the stoppie. And then if we go faster, the limitations will change. That's because we engage higher gears, so the power from the engine becomes less, and at very high gears even a superbike cannot lift the front wheel. So if you try to accelerate as hard as you can, you're limited by your engine power, like this guy here. If we look at this in another way, you can see the force forward coming through the 6 gears, and you can see the force holding us back as the aerodynamic drag. And what gives us the acceleration is the difference between the force forward and the force holding us back. So at low speeds we have a large difference between the force forward and the force holding us back, which gives us a very strong acceleration. Then at high speeds the difference is much smaller, and at top speed there is no difference at all. Then if we jump into the race line, you can calculate how fast you can go through a corner if you know the radius of the corner and if you know the coefficient of friction. The gravity you can look up in any book of physics. You just multiply them and take the square, and then you have your maximum speed through the corner. If we take the largest radius possible through this corner, which happens to be 24 meters, we have a coefficient of friction which is 1. Then we can go 55 kilometers an hour, and that is as fast you can go in this corner with this friction. Since we know the distance now and we know the speed, we can calculate the time through the corner, and it will take us from the moment we start to turn until we stop turning. It will take us 4.9 seconds. If we take the other extreme and follow the inner line with a radius of 15 meters, we will only go roughly 44 kilometers an hour, which is 11 kilometers an hour less, but we will spend 1 second less in the corner since it's so much shorter. So now we have to figure out which is the best line. Should we take the open line with a very large radius, or should we take a small radius? If we run a very weak bike, or if we're very close to top speed, we don't have so much acceleration. So then we want to keep the radius large so we don't lose a lot of speed, because it takes too long to regain speed. If you're on a superbike, or if you're going quite slow on low gears, it's very easy to regain speed. You just have to twist the throttle and you have the speed back again. Then we want to spend less time in the corner and take a smaller radius. Now this is extreme. If we look at more realistic lines, it would look something like this, where the weak bike is taking a larger radius and the strong bike is more doing the stop and go corner and spends less time in the corner. And now to figure out which is the best is a balance. It's a balance between what kind of acceleration you have in the bike, how fast you go, and also very, very important, what's coming after this corner. If we look at this, we have a left-hander now after the right-hander. With this line, we are totally in the wrong position. Probably it should look something like this. And I say probably because it depends on what's coming after. We don't know how curve number 3 looks like. If it's very far away, that this might be good, since I made the turn very early in the corner, so we can go on the gas early. If the finish line is here, it should definitely be something else. So to give a straight answer on what's the best race line is not that easy. To answer those questions, we have to make computer simulations, and we can do that in Fastest Lap Calculator. Thank you very much.